Իսկ այժմ հարգելի գործընկերներ, խոսքը տրվում է Եվրոպական խորհրդարանի փոխնախագահ պարոն Ryszard Czarneckուն, ով ելույթ կունենա Եվրոպական խորհրդարանի նախագահ պարոն Մարտին Շուլցի անունից։ Խնդրեմ, պարոն փոխնախագահ։
Mr. President, Mr. Speaker of Armenian Parliament, co-chairs, Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'm honored to address you today on behalf of Martin Schulz, the President of the European Parliament, on the occasion of the opening of the fourth session of the European Parliamentary Assembly, the first one after the European election in May 2014, and the first one hosted by Armenia. It's a significant event in our evolving partnership, and I would like to thank our Armenian host for their hospitality and for the organization of this fourth session. In recognition of a very warm welcome we received here, I would like to say a few words in Armenian. Շնոր հալակություն ձեր հյուրքալության համար։ Մենք կնդվում ենք մի երկրում, որ ունի երկար պատմություն եւ մեծ մշակութային զարանգություն։ Մենք ողջունում ենք բարդ հայ ազգը եւ հիշում ձեր ազգի ողբերգության 100-րդ տարելիսի։ Since our last plenary meeting in Brussels 2 years ago, many developments have occurred in the Eastern Partnership region. Association agreements between the European Union and three partners, Ukraine, Georgia, and Moldova, have been signed and ratified, while some other partners have chosen to develop their relations with the European Union in a different way or at a different pace. Dramatic events in Ukraine, which started right after the Vilnius summit, led to major political changes in the country and have shaken the post-Cold War European security order. The illegal annexation of the Crimea by the Russian Federation and the war in eastern Ukraine, in which Russia actively participated, have claimed many lives and have had heavy repercussions on the entire region and the whole of Europe. The European Parliament strongly condemned the Russian aggression against Ukraine, which is in violation of international law, and underlined its unequivocal support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. We stand by the peaceful solution of this war and expect that Russia fully respect its means obligations. Recent events in Ukraine will also undoubtedly have a significant impact on the revision of the European neighborhood policy, a process which has been recently launched. On 4 March, the European Commission circulated an official joint consultation paper to spur discussion on the reform of the policy. The aim is to transform the policy into a more effective vehicle for promoting both the EU interests and those of its partners. It is important to note that despite major geopolitical challenges and economic pressures in the region, our Eastern partners have managed to carry out a number of key reforms over the past year. Major work still lies ahead for most of them in the areas of fight against corruption, rule of law, and independence of judiciary, in reforming public institutions and public services. The EU, European Union, and especially European Parliament is committed to providing support for this reform process and help along the way. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, during the last year, in addition to the European election, a number of parliamentary elections have been held in the region, including in Ukraine and in Moldova. I'm pleased to warmly welcome those members who are new to the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly. We look forward to working together to make this assembly and this fourth session in particular a success. Once again, we unfortunately meet a format which does not include members of Belarus parliament. Regrettably, last parliamentary election in Belarus failed to meet international standards. But our assembly remains open to Belarus once the conditions are met. We also regret that members of the Mini Majlis of Azerbaijan are not today with us. We still believe that this country has its full place in our Eastern Partnership and its Euronest Parliamentary Assembly. Dear friends, this session is particularly important and timely as it is held 2 months before the Riga summit. The recent political debates within the EU and its member states regarding the revision of the current Eastern Partnership framework emphasize the need to find the right balance between the country-specific bilateral parts of the policy while ensuring the rightly balanced common multilateral aspects of it. In other words, the policy should take better account of the country's needs and specificities in order to support the priority areas in the right way. Increasingly, the more for more and less for less principles will keep characterizing Eastern Partnership and determine the level and depth of EU support through expertise, twinning, technical assistance, and financial assistance in proportion to the achievements and effectiveness of implementation on reforms. One of the key questions to be answered is whether it is feasible to expect deep commitment to reforms without a clear perspective of membership. As you are well aware, the European Parliament has been one of the strongest supporters of the European perspective for our Eastern partners, as expressed in a number of its resolutions. Also, I was happy to hear during my many visits here that Armenia is willing to sign a new binding agreement with the European Union, which would help the country continue on the path of reforms. The reports presented by the committees of this Assembly, which will be submitted for your approval, will become the message from Parliament to the heads of states and governments gathering in Riga in May. We need to develop a common vision of how we, the parliamentarians, see the future of our partnership and how to make the Eastern Partnership policy more focused, more flexible, and more effective in delivering concrete results and benefits for our people. Finally, in this context, I would like to underline that it's not in the mandate of this forum to solve bilateral differences. We must rather focus our attention on the values and aspirations which unite us, on the inclusive spirit which animates this assembly, rather than on divisive elements. I'm convinced that this way we'll be in a position to send a strong message to the summit in Riga from the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly on behalf of millions of citizens we represent, addressing the priorities of our nations and our partnership. I look forward to really fruitful discussions leading to a deeper understanding among us. Please let me finish with the notion about a very important moment for Armenia. on 24th of April, the Armenians, together with their guests from all over the world, will commemorate the tragic events from 100 years ago. As a Pole, member of the European Parliament elected in Poland, I'm proud that Parliament of my country, Polish Parliament, already in 2005 has condemned and recognized the Armenian genocide, one of the first in the world. I would like to assure you that the European Parliament remembers about it too and will adopt a text of a new resolution on this issue, which is due to be voted 1 week prior to the events of 24th of April. Mr. President, dear friends, thank you and the best of success to your work, to our work.